Hello again. Welcome back to my video tutorial for Hammer Editor. I believe this is part 2. We're going to be covering the texture tools. Alright, so let's get started. We've created our block here. Alright, and as you can see, it is our three-dimensional object. As I mentioned before, you can't have two-dimensional objects. Another tricky thing with these tools is there's actually two. This initial tool right here is your face edit sheet, which allows you to edit individual faces of a block. But we're going to just go to this one right now because it's the simplest. Now, you're going to notice my screen gets a little fucked up when I open up the texture browser. And sometimes when I first open up Hammer, when I first start recording, it gets a little fucked up. I don't know why it does that. It's the BSR video recorder. You're going to see it right now, but you're going to press on browse over here. Alright, and these are your textures. Just ignore the weird little glitch of the screen there. I don't know why the fuck that's happening. Something to do with the BSR recorder. Anyways, we are going to be choosing a tiled texture. Type in tile in the filter. And here are all the tile textures available to us within Half-Life 2. As you can see, sometimes there's two types of the same material. This is a perfect example. There is regular tile floor here, and then there is tile floor cheap. This will have reflective properties and generally be higher resolution. This won't. Alright, so you're going to want the more expensive version. Now, press this button right here. This is called the Apply Current Texture. Now, if I press this little square here, you can see that I instantly apply the texture that I have selected in this corner to the object that I have selected on the screen. To all sides of it. Which is all well and good. But when you're building a large block, you might not want all sides of this block to be one particular texture. So you have your face edit sheet right here. Now, what this will allow us to do is select individual sides of the block and alter those textures. Alright, but first let's just kind of go over what we got in this window right here. First of all, you're going to notice there's two tabs called Material and Displacement. Alright, Displacement terrain is very advanced. Although it's rather simple in the way it works for Half-Life 2, you need a specific line of code and an expert compile in order to make it work properly. So we're going to ignore that for the time being. Now we're going to go over here, back to Material, and you're going to see that we have Texture Scale. You can scale your texture on the X terrain or the Y terrain. X terrain being forward or backwards, Y terrain being up or down. But on the texture, it's kind of like left to right. Now, it's kind of hard to notice, but... Oops, I actually got the wrong side selected. That's probably why. Alright, there we go. As you can see, I can scale this. Now, 0.25 seems to be the default. For some reason. Not sure why. That's just what it seems to be set to default. You can make it smaller, as you can see. But it's kind of pointless. Now, you can also shift your texture. Now, this seems to be pretty well aligned to our face right off the bat. Let's say you want to try and make all the tiles as even as possible. You can actually move the texture around. Alright, to reset that, just type in 0 and hit apply and it will go back to its 0 position. Light map scale is advanced. That has to do with the light map in general light mapping, which actually has to do with casting shadows, making shadows more sharper or more faded, and that can actually be kind of a pain to work with because there's no real way to judge how well something is going to work until you compile it. And sometimes when you're doing that, it can take quite some time to compile an advanced light map. So we're going to leave that alone for now. Now we have our rotation. Allows me to rotate the texture if I want to. So I can make that a 45 degree, or not 450, 45. There you go, 45 degree angle. Now the tiles are rotated at 45 degrees. Alright, now let's just say that we like that at 0 degrees and everything 25, set those to 0.25, 0.25. Now let's go to our justify. I can't remember what some of these actually do, but more or less what you got to be concerned with here is align to the left, align to the center, which will center the texture, align to the right, align to the top, and align to the bottom, if I remember correctly. I think that's how that all works. Now, there's also the fit right here. So when I said I can't remember what some of these do exactly, I'm not sure what top and bottom are, or T and B. I think it's aligned to the top and the bottom. I can't remember though, but I'm pretty positive that's what it is. Alright, so you can hit fit, and you'll notice you'll fit the entire texture that you'd see right here onto that face. Alright, which can be very useful for some textures, such as the button texture. But for us it's not going to work, so I'm going to hit Control Z, which is the undo hotkey. Alright, and you're probably going to want to remember that as well, because you're going to be undoing things. There's also an undo redo button up here, and under the edit you can hit undo or redo, but I usually use the hotkey because I'm lazy. Alright, you can also have this when you're selecting multiple textures. You can treat it as one massive face, so the texture will align itself better. You can align it to the world or the face. For some reason, sometimes both are selected. Not sure exactly why it does that, but it does. But if you're getting two textures next to each other that aren't aligning when you click on them, make sure that like this texture and this texture are both aligned to, they're selected, either one or the other is selected, but they're the same. So if this one has align to face selected, then this one would have to have align to face selected in order for them to line up properly. So what I mean by line up is like, see these lines, they line up like they look like it's one continuous piece there. That's what you want. Alright, so we don't like our tiled side, so let's change that. Let's go to wood, type in wood in the filter, and here's all of our wood textures. Once again, ignore the stupid glitchiness. If I can ever figure out how to fix that, I will, I promise. Alright, now I got my wood texture selected here. You can select any wood texture you want. For this, doesn't really matter. But now with that texture selected, if you want to copy the exact coordinates, everything, like the scale, the coordinates, the rotation, everything, you just highlight it, and then you can right click over here. See, when you right click, it's just like Microsoft Paint or something. You're just applying the selected texture. That's why the mode is called lift and select. You can change the mode. I never do because I never had to. But as you can see, all you need to do is select that texture, and then you can right click on it. The alternative way of doing it would be to click on the texture and scroll down to the last texture used, which would be under current texture. You can always find the last texture used and hit apply. But there's no real reason to do that. You know, it's kind of, in my mind, a waste of time when you could just right click on things faster. Alright. Gonna hit browse. Oh no, sorry. I don't want to do that. That's just gonna be cutting it for our textures for the time being, so let's cut that, and a time to cut the video. Alright guys, catch up with me for the next one. We'll cover the rest of this stuff.